Well, it's about 6 o'clock in the morning, and today we're going to make some homemade mountain salsa hot sauce recipe that I get partially from my grandmother and partially from my mother and partially from me. So no telling what's going to happen, but this is the way we start. First, you get some supplies, and as you can see here, we go with the canning jars. I like the wide mouth jars because they're easier to work with. But for friends, we have the little decorative jars, and of course you can on your computer make a cute little label or just tie a pretty napkin around it. And well prepared here to make lots of stuff today. I'm washing the vegetables here, and just a tiny bit, not much, just a tiny bit of detergent just to cut the insecticides and stuff off of them. We're going to rinse off the vegetables, and we got tomatoes, onions, we got beautiful bell pepper. There's a little bit of bell pepper there. Then we're, of course, washing all of the rings in hot soapy water. Some other tools. I like a funnel like this, even though it's a wide mouth jar. That helps. Here's a little thing to wipe things off the edge, kind of keep the edges clear. Of course, a little device to pull the jars out of the hot water, and then a presser. You can use a spoon or anything. But these are easily bought in kits. They cost about $9. And I'm boiling, of course, sterilizing the lids for at least 3 minutes. And then here's my big pan, as you can see, and it's got a rack in it, and these are about $22, $25 at Walmart. And I'm boiling the jars. Of course, everything has to be absolutely sterile. This is going to be a great recipe. Oh, I just can't wait. And look at the setting. Look at my kitchen window here. The sun has not come up yet. It's just now trying to. There are deer out there in the woods. I hope you enjoy this recipe. Okay, this cha-cha is going to have 2 natural sweeteners. One is going to be the carrots, which I'm cutting fairly thin, as you can see, but they make a natural sweetener for the cha-cha. Onion. So we'll put a lot of onion in this. And right now we're just boiling water here because we're going to dip the tomatoes in a basket like this, and we'll dip the tomatoes in the hot water just for a little bit, and then we'll pop them out, and it helps it makes it easier to peel. See here, get everything sterilized, and the jars are all being cleaned. We've got several stainless steel pans. I like stainless steel that we can use to put the various cut vegetables in. So it's coming along. Here we are with the capsicum. Isn't it beautiful? Wow. Okay, now we're coming along here. As you can see, we've got the carrots. That's if you have enough acid. We got capsicum. Red and yellow for color. We got fresh tomatoes, a lot of tomatoes here. We've got fresh onion, and then of course we're going to have our beautiful peppers. Now look at these, aren't they gorgeous? Wow! And this is something I really love to work with because the peppers add the acid, the zing, and the taste to it. And I like to get some of the peppers that have a little bit of color. Now a lot of the recipes say take the seeds out so it won't be hot. Listen, the reason we make hot sauce, relish, or like we make it, is we want a little bit of hot. So you're going to enjoy this. This is great. And by the way, look here. The sun has come out. By the way, notice this. We're cutting these very thin, because we don't want someone to get a big old hunk of this in their mouth. Cut them very thin so the flavors will meld in. Okay, now my wife likes lime juice and I like lemon juice, so we're putting some limes and lemon juice, and all I'm doing right now is just boiling them a little bit because I'm going to also chop up some of the peel and put in this recipe very fine. So we're going to have really about a cup or maybe 3/4 of a cup of a mixture of lime and lemon juice in this. It gives it some zest, and it just makes for a much better flavor. Puts a little acid in it to help preserve it. And I think you're going to like this, all right? We're also going to put just a little bit of vinegar in this thing, probably about a 1/3 of a cup of vinegar, maybe a half. And then we'll put a little garlic, some cloves, some salt, and then some ground black pepper. So look at what we got. We got lemon lime for the juice. We got carrots, onions, capsicum, red and white for color, fresh tomatoes cut up. Oh, I love those fresh tomatoes. We've got jalapeno peppers. We left the seeds in them because it gives it more taste, and I'd say we've got maybe a cup there of that. We've got fresh corn, and then we're going to put pineapple chunks in it to give it a sweetening taste, and that's kind of the secret ingredient. Oh my goodness, I just can't wait to taste this thing. In the meantime, our jars have been boiled and sterilized, and also our lids have been boiled and sterilized, and so we're going fine on Mr. Ben's Mountaintop Salsa Chunky Chow Chow Hot Sauce Picante recipe. Oh yes. Here you see we've got our container for the lemon lime juice, or for the citrus we'll call it. We've got a strainer on top to stop the seeds, and we're just going to squeeze these out, get that fresh juice in there. Like I say, we'll end up with maybe a half a cup, maybe 3/4 of a cup of citrus in here. Just depends how tangy you want it. I think it keeps the color brilliant and beautiful, and it just makes for a wonderful thing here. Look at all these lemons and limes. We've got everything in there except the last two ingredients, the pineapple and the corn, because pineapple and corn, they don't need to cook. They're already cooked. We'll put everything in the pan. We're going to bring it to a boil, and then we're going to let it simmer in this pan until it gets to the desired consistency. Now, if you want your salsa to be snappy and chewy, well then, you know, cook it that long. You know, if you want it to be soft and you want it to be very, very, overall just a mushy type of salsa, we'll do it that way. I kind of like mine in the middle, a little bit snappy, a little bit chewy, and the tomatoes, of course, will be the softest thing, and they kind of bind everything together. But this is going to boil for a while, and keep it hot, and I'd say boil it hard for about 15 minutes, and then after that just let it simmer until it gets to where you want it. Now as you're doing this, stir in your salt and salt it to taste. I think the salt, you know, really hot salt, if you know the history of hot sauce and pepper, the American Indians, when they couldn't get salt, they used hot sauce or peppers as their spice. And so that's what you do here. You kind of substitute the hot flavor for the salt flavor. But just consider the salsa like a salt. And you will taste it and try it until you see what is best for your palate. Now look at the beautiful colors here. Isn't this going to make a beautiful, beautiful gift to people? And oh my goodness, what an addition. You can eat this on omelets for breakfast, eat it with steaks, eat it with Mexican food, tortillas, enchiladas, just everything. My wife loves spicy food, so my guess is she's going to have some of this with almost every meal. And you know, they say any meal is good with Tabasco sauce. Well, for Ben's Salsa Chow Chow Chunky Homemade Hot Sauce, this is good for anything. I hope you enjoy it. Let's see how she turns out. Now as you can see, the mixture is starting to sizzle, starting to boil just a little bit. Now some people put real garlic. I think that's great. Today I'm going to put garlic salt, and you know, we'll just put this in to flavor it for taste. We may put garlic in a time or two to see where we get it where we want it. And also I put just a little bit of red chili powder. This is from New Mexico, maybe the best red chili in the world, but we don't put too much because this New Mexico chili powder is so strong it'll actually overwhelm the taste. So we'll put just a little of that in there just to give it another little complicated taste. And then of course, as we've already mentioned, you're going to salt it to taste. And here we just you know, you put in enough salt that you feel like it, you get it where you want to. And again, you're going to experiment with this and taste it as you get along. Well, the next step is simply we take this, put it in each of the quart jars like this, fill up the jars, put the rings on them, be sure the seal is tight, wipe off the top with a rag and the top of the rim of the glass, and then we simply put it in the boiler, and it needs to boil for exactly 10 minutes, or another way, the old-fashioned way, is you check the, that is hot water right there. You check the tops of the caps and you see when they pop up. When they pop up, well, that's supposed to mean that it's hot. And there you have it. We're going to have a whole bunch of this salsa. And by the way, it looks delicious. Look at those colors. Wow. It's all fresh ingredients, very healthy. And taste it just to see what it tastes like. Okay? So here we go. Now taste it. Let's see.
combination of sweet, hot, salt, garlic. Very complex flavor. It's delicious. It's delicious. Wow. I think I'm going to have that for breakfast.